Welcome to episode 20 of the SNARLcast about indie wargames and their design, coming to you from Snarling Badger Studios. I'm Adam, and I'm here with Vince. How you doing, Vince?
I'm doing pretty good, buddy. I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited, happy to re-recording. Obviously, I just spent last weekend with you, and now we're here back together. It was a great weekend. We had our VinceyCon, our annual gathering, all the boys together. It was a wonderful time.
And got to see Sam and John and Ben and you and your lovely wife and the dogs, and it was a good time.
You missed the new dog, sadly. We're getting a new dog. Like when people listen to this, it'll be less than a week until we're getting our new dog. So you guys did miss all the fun of having a little puppy shark in the house. But
I've had friends who've had puppies in the past, and they have very, very pointy little teeth, which is
correct.
Yeah, that's a thing, and they are very chewy for a while. So yeah, good luck with that. This episode's topic, what we're going to be talking about, is about pricing your indie game. You know, are you looking for free? You know, are you looking for maybe something else? Like, what's the best way to price your game? What should you take into consideration? Those types of things, because it's pretty important. You know. Obviously, you can put stuff out for free, but, you know, maybe that's not necessarily the way to go. It all depends. And we'll talk about that. Speaking of games that are not free, but will be coming out soon, we've got Snarl 2025, which will be coming out as we're recording this about 2 weeks. So it'll be even less by the time you hear this. It'll be coming out on Friday, November 14th, 2025, is when at this point, third issue, right, of Snarl, because we did 2023, 2024, 2025. The micro game in this year's Snarl, as we've been talking about, we normally, in the past, we've not told anybody what it was until the day it launched, but we've changed up our marketing this year. We announced it at Nova back in Labor Day weekend. We announced it during our talk there. And it's called Chrome Rangers. It's about big, stompy robots, but like really big, stompy robots, like not like a 28 millimeter, like 6 millimeter, like BattleTech. Like, no, these guys are, 6 to 8 inches tall. These are going to be, and you're going to have one, and then your opponent has one. And so that's right. Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about it in past episodes. What I wanted to talk about with Chrome Rangers, as we said, we're only 2 weeks away. And, we'll be putting out some information in advance, getting people some more hype, sharing some stuff in advance of it. But the thing I wanted to talk about today was kind of, I mentioned before about it's a one-on-one game. Can we keep it interesting? I think we did through the way you activate and the way you fight and go back and forth. But I wanted to talk today a little bit about the customization of the game. To me, the fun of a giant robot game and like building a giant robot is that you get to like make your toy, right? It's cool. You get to make a cool robot. That's awesome. And so what we wanted to do, even though this is like a relatively small game, right? The whole thing in there's, less than, even in the little zine is still less than 28 pages. But we were trying to be really judicious with making sure that you have the ability to customize your mech. So do you want it to be faster and weaker, but tougher and slower? Kind of the old way you and I always talk about the ice hockey paradigm, right? The little thin fast guy, the middle average guy, and the slow fat guy kind of thing. For those who are of a certain age and will know what I'm talking about with ice hockey. But in addition, it's we wanted to have lots of like different weapons you could use and different like other kind of cool technology, like what we call utility systems, basically. So you get to like really experience building out the mech. The construction is a big part of the thing, right? And so even though this is our smaller game, we certainly are trying to pack a lot of like fun of what you can do here and replayability into it, where sure, you could like build your one mech. There's a little campaign system. You can build up that mech over time, and that's fine. Everything we do will probably always have a campaign system. But at the same time, you can also just like build a bunch of different mechs and try those out too, right? So we wanted to open up both avenues.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it into people's hands. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm looking forward to seeing in the Discord people posting. There's already someone posted. I don't know if they posted in if it was in my Discord for Tabletop Minions or if they posted. I know I just saw in a Discord recently someone talking about how they were working on a robot for Chrome Rangers and they had basically 3D printed a BattleTech Atlas
Amazing.
to be like
But
8
scaled
inches
it up.
tall.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was very cool. I'm kind of looking forward to doing some of that myself as well. The artwork is done. We've gotten the artwork from our artist. His name is Rob Turpin, and he's from the UK. And I think you guys are going to really like that as well. He did a really great job. I had seen his stuff online for quite some time, and I reached out to him. And yeah, I think he did some great work. So yeah, we're looking forward to you folks seeing it very soon. And because by the time that we do the episode 21 of the Snarlcast, then the game will be out, right?
That's right. Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
last episode before it releases. Yeah,
There you
exactly.
go. Boom. All right, cool.
And obviously, episode 21 will probably just be deep diving on the game. So look forward to that.
Sure.
If you want to check it out, we'll be deep diving all about it. So
Yeah. So have you played or painted anything recently that's been fun and enjoyable?
boy, did I. So
Mhm.
obviously, as I mentioned, we had VinciCon. So we had a weekend full of painting. The majority of that weekend was taken up with me painting a big display figure, of course, because trying to work on something uh, big and something that I wanted, feedback from all the boys on. But the other thing I was doing that weekend was getting all of my Trench Crusade models primed up, which so
Mhm.
that I got a nice little chromatic progression there of like some browns and reds and yellows.
And
And
you didn't do
I
the
did a whole
plastics. You did the
3D
you had
prints.
3D prints of the seven-headed serpent.
Court of the Seven Sire Death Serpent guys. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yes. The cool demons.
Yeah.
I will hear. I know a lot of people like the Black Rail because they like that name is so easy to remember.
Yeah, it is.
Because they love like the let's be honest, it has kind of a nurgly aesthetic to it,
They
right? I
do.
mean,
They very
that's
much
sort
do.
of what's
The
going on.
Black Grail guys are definitely nurgly, which is why I like them as well.
Yeah, it's just not my speed, as I'm
Mhm.
sure people know. But the court guys are awesome. I love them, and I've actually painted up my first model from that warband. So I got one of the yoke fiends all painted up, got my color scheme all down, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Nothing too complicated, but I was stoked. It was very fun. That'll come out in a video, probably in the future at some point. I also got a game of Trench Crusade, my first actual game. I got to play
Yeah, you
against
play
our
with
mutual
Sam.
friend Sam Lenz. Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I had a ton of fun. It was really great. I played against his Heretic Legion. And I learned that werewolf is ridiculous and a
Yeah, it is.
real dangerous thing. But I didn't really know what I was doing in list building. Let me just say that. Like
Sure.
I just kind of like took stuff and that stuff that seemed fun. So that's fine. It's sometimes that's what you got to do. I was really just trying to learn the base mechanics, and I'll say I walked away from it pretty stoked to go back and like dig into the rules, which I've been doing in the interim week, and like actually understand the game for real now. Now that I have like a basis to compare against
Yeah.
and build some more actual lists. So
Yeah,
it got
there's
me supercharged.
I don't know. Maybe there's somebody out there that this doesn't happen to, but most people I talk to, it is always a situation of I don't understand the rules as I've read them. And then you stumble through a game or you're taught how to play by somebody else. And then when you go back and look at the rules, all of a sudden the scales fall from your eyes and everything makes a lot more sense. And that's always just that's really super helpful. So being able to play with Sam in that situation, I think did help. I'm sure helped a whole bunch and you learned a lot of mechanics and that's cool too. I really enjoy the game. It has I don't know, a bit of an elegant simplicity to it, I think. You know
Sure.
what I mean? That really it makes it something interesting. And you look at it maybe and you go, well, maybe this is really it's just there's not as much stuff going on as you have in like some other games. And it's there. It's just kind of brought to you in a different way. You know what I mean? It's less
Right.
about having 12 different stats in your stat line and instead doing stats kind of differently. And I like that quite a bit. So I'm glad that you got a game in. That's
No, I
cool.
loved it. I'm looking forward to it's neat because with the court, you can like you pick a god, like basically a deadly sin sort of thing,
Mhm.
and then you get to like customize your dudes, certain things, stuff like that. So I'm interested to like, oh, which one am I going to do, right?
Mhm.
And so I want to play around with that. I love the weapons and gear loadout. I mean, speaking back to the Chrome Rangers thing, right? Of the fun of like customizing your mech. It's a lot of the same thing here. I'm like, okay, well, I've got access to some cool weapons that are unique, and I've got access to the general weapons. Like, how am I arming my people and stuff like that, right? And you're
Mhm.
always trying to balance giving a bunch of cool toys out to actually like having models on the table. That classic fight of like, do you have a small number of dudes that are just gilded to the nines, right? They're just walking in replete with stuff, and then like the bomb witch lady, whatever her name is, I don't know, but the one from Heretic Legion who walks around with a big giant bomb in her hand.
Artillery witch.
There you go, her.
Yeah.
And then she just drops a bomb on you and you explode, and it's like, oh, okay, well, darn,
Yeah.
So you're always
Yeah.
trying to walk that line, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Sam's poor artillery witch let him down real bad during the game. She did a hot bunch of nothing.
Wow, that's the first
Uh,
time that's ever happened because usually she just decimates me, and
oh
that's
yeah,
always kind of a bit
she
of a
was
problem.
worthless.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I could not kill his guys for the life of me. Like the number of modified eights I rolled just repeatedly, even when I was like on a bloodbath,
Mhm.
okay, where I'm just
Mhm.
like rolling all these extra dice. I had so many like true 3d6 rolls to kill people. Like you're
Yeah.
rolling and adding together, not just like
Yeah,
best
yeah.
of.
Yeah,
And just it was every time it was like 6, 8. And I'm like, okay,
yeah.
cool. You're not dead.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
just like, it's what it is. The dice weren't with me, but it was really great. I love my big desecrated saint guy. I thought that dude was super cool and fun to pilot around.
Mhm.
The Hell Knights are like awesome.
Mhm.
They felt exactly like what I wanted them to feel like. So yeah, I mean, just like top to bottom, I really loved the force. So
Nice, nice. And, now they're starting to make plastics, which I made a video about, today. Well, it went live today as we're recording this. And, yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see where they go next.
yeah, what'd you
And,
think of the plastics?
oh, I thought they were spectacular. They're really nice. Like, there's a like, here's the deal. The one downside is I wish there was a little bit more customization,
Sure.
but they're designed to be filling specific roles.
Yep.
Like when I compare them against a box of like Stargrave models, like Stargrave models are just there to build dudes. You know what I mean? You're just like, hey, we've got, on this sprue, there are 5 sets of like torsos and legs, and then a buttload of arms and heads and stuff like that. And you're just Legoing all that together to make whatever you want. Whereas the stuff for Trench Crusade in this situation and many other games, you're like, well, you need like a leader and you need a lieutenant and you need some just puds
Yep.
and you need like this guy and that guy. And so, if you do really want to go custom, well, then you do some more kit bashing and you can either completely go miniature agnostic and, completely kit bash up from whatever, or you can take their plastics and then just swap some things or, it's a little bit more work, but it's not too bad. Um, I would have liked to have seen a few more weapons on the sprue just to give you a little bit more options, but that's maybe just a bit pie in the sky. So, but yeah, they're the fact that they came out with plastics this quickly. I mean, the Kickstarter ended in November of last year.
Right. It is an incredible turnaround, especially for they seemed like they were really high quality looking at them when you were here and assembling them.
Oh yeah, they're very high quality. I mean, they used Archon Studios out of Poland,
Gotcha.
and they've been doing is really astounding work. So I've been really happy with that. Um, Yeah, I have not had a chance to play anything. I was gonna play a game of Trench Crusade at VinciCon with Sam, but then I didn't feel well, and so
You got into it a little bit. You did
yeah,
roll some dice.
we got into it a little bit ways, and then I was just like, no, I don't feel well. I was a bit ill, so but and I haven't had a chance to really paint anything either. I came home and then I got a cold, and I haven't been able to stream and stuff like that because it's just been nose running and coughing, which nobody wants to hear on stream. That's no fun. I'm
Well,
currently
somewhere
Yeah, I
does, but
suppose that's
yes,
probably
it's
true.
not
That's a good
common.
point. I'm currently hopped up on a lot of cough medicine right now, so that I don't cough during the recording of this. But this being a recording, I can cough and then edit myself out from the coughing, whereas I can't do that in live. So there may be some coughing, you just won't hear it if I do my job right. But I do have some things I want to paint. I do want to get moving on those Trench Crusade plastics that I built. I also have that I want to do for another video coming up soon. I have a set of 3 models that I want to hopefully paint this upcoming week if I can pull it off, and maybe for next week's video. And it's I'm gonna fix the Gray Knights. Let's just say that the Gray
I'm
Knights
excited.
the Gray Knights are no good as models, and I'm gonna fix them. So
You're gonna fix that baby Bjorn carrier. That'll be the real journey.
that guy I'm not fixing. No, that's beyond fixing. I think it's just the general.
He can't be helped.
Stumpy little Gray Knights. I'm gonna fix them. Today's topic, we're talking about pricing your game, and as an interesting quick note, we were just talking about Trench Crusade, which is free, isn't it?
Yeah, the rules are, yes, absolutely.
Yes, the rules are free. Now, a lot of companies do that these days. But why is that? It's because they want to sell you the miniatures, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But if you're an indie person, and that's probably why you're listening here. I don't think that Games Workshop, people are listening. The people who work at Games Workshop aren't listening to the SNARLcast. People who are working at
no, they're definitely coming to us for pricing advice. No
Exactly,
doubt. They watched
exactly.
your original video from like 11 years ago.
Yeah.
It was the secret to Games Workshop's pricing, and then they
Yep.
immediately came here and they're like, "My God, what have we done? We've gone wrong for all this time."
We've cracked the code. Yeah. But the big companies that are out there that do give away the rules for free are doing it because they want you to buy more plastic. But if you are an indie, like Vince and I in this situation, then you generally don't give the rules away for free, generally.
Yeah. So you got sort of 3 models, right?
Yeah.
The market leader, which is GW, they get to charge for everything because they can, right? Because they know they have a big enough, invested enough audience that they can effectively extract that price. Their perceived value is high enough that they can extract a price for both the rules and the miniatures.
I think it's being perceived less and less as time goes on, but that may be just my own personal bias.
I understand. But all of miniature gaming, all of miniature wargaming to some degree is a collective action problem, right? Like the thing that will often, probably that's most common from stopping people from getting into an indie game is the fear there's no one they're going to have to play it with, right? Whereas Warhammer, 40K or AOS or whatever, Kill Team, I don't know, something like that. The advantage you have is that if you just go to like any local game store in the country, they probably have a night dedicated to that game, right? You can find games, okay? And GW can rely on that like collective action problem being solved to charge you for both of it. That's why they can extract the price they can. For a lot of other games who are trying to displace GW, right? They will often give the rules away for free so that they get rid of that barrier to entry, right? And they can say, oh, well, come check it out. And then hopefully they get enough people interested that you and your friends are like, oh, well, we all downloaded the rules. It's all free. Okay, we're all interested. So it's not just that, yes, they're hoping to sell you the plastic or the toys or the models or whatever. Yes, I think that's true. That's effectively where they make their money and what keeps the lights on, right? But it's also a strategy that by making the rules free, they lower the barrier and hopefully solve some of the collective action problem. Because if you and your friends can all get the thing for free, you're more likely to all try it together.
Absolutely. I think especially when you are, I think it is the case when you're like thinking about like, all right, well, do I want to pay $70 for a book and then have to buy miniatures? Or can I use that $70 to buy more miniatures? I mean, that's really kind of where it comes down to. But again, you're right. It comes down to trying to get people over that hump and understanding that the cost of the rules, in the grand scheme of things, hopefully you as the company are making the money either way, whether it's buying a book and some miniatures or not buying a book and buying more miniatures. Like you're hoping that you're going to get roughly the same amount of money or, that kind of thing. And I think it's kind of like, it's a little bit like one of those marketing tactics, a little bit like where you set the price at $2.99 and not $3.
Sure.
Because it's perceived as being $2 and, because it starts with a 2 and there's that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think that any company that's going to be trying to sell me a ton of plastic should be giving me the rules for free. I am also understanding that some people hate free rules because they're generally PDFs and things like that and whatever.
Sure.
But
yeah. I mean, a book has a physical cost. You're not getting books
exactly.
for free.
You're not getting books for free, and I get that. And so there are also companies out there that will be like, hey, we give away the rules for free, but we also sell the books if you are a book person. The
Right.
upside to that benefit, of course, then is then you get to read the stuff before you buy it. You can go look through and go, is this for me? Is there enough fluff? Are the pictures pretty enough? Like whatever. And then you'd be like, and then you buy the book and then hopefully go from there. But that's all for, again, predominantly people who aren't particularly indie, right? It's for
That's
people
right.
who are out there with like a lot of plastics or things like that and whatnot. And it's interesting, again, going back to Trench Crusade, to see them transitioning from them initially basically being an indie company where they were like miniature agnostic. Here are some STLs. Use whatever models you want. Oh, and by the way, the rules are free. And now that they've made so much money based off of that, then they're like, well, we'll also, because there is going to be a book available for
Yep.
Trench Crusade, but the rules will also always be available for free. But now they're also going, well, hey, look at this plastics, which I get. I mean, it makes sense. I don't think they expected when this all started for this to go the way it's going. So,
Sure.
yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt it was more successful. And I think it's important to say here, like, whether or not the rules are free, they weren't free to the company that made them, right?
Sure. Right.
Like that is real human time. Like
Mhm.
whether you're an indie writer, you're doing the whole thing yourself, or whether it's a big team, it doesn't really matter. It's all like human time that has to be compensated somehow,
Mhm.
right? Like we have artists who draw for us. I'm not asking for that art for free. Like we pay
Nope.
our artists, right? We pay our
Absolutely.
editor, we pay our developer, right?
Mhm.
All of that stuff it all ends up in the rules, right? In the book, whatever the
Right.
art and development, all that. Not to mention, my time, your time, all the thinking we do about the thing.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, you and I aren't doing this as our primary career.
Right.
Okay.
These are not our day jobs. Exactly.
That's right. And so that lets us, like, frankly, put a lot of like sweat equity into the thing that we're not compensated for. And that's okay. Like I'm not
Mhm.
sad about that in any way.
Yeah.
Um, but that's just it. When you get down to the indie space, I think you do have basically two options. If you're trying to like get some eyeballs on your game and this is like your first shot across the bow, as it were, right? Then I think you could, especially if you have like an early version of your game or you're planning to do more, depending on what like your long-term plans are. You could very easily just release with like a free/pay what you want model with like a recommended price, right? Like
Mhm.
you say, well, you can get the PDF for free. The pay what you want. If you want to throw some money at me is $8. Also, I have the book available, and obviously the book has a price to it because nobody lets you print a book for free. Turns
Right.
out they don't just give away paper and stuff like that
No, they
for
don't.
free. Did you know that ink is the most expensive liquid by volume that a civilian can buy without a permit? Printer ink.
Printer ink or inkjet printer ink?
Inkjet printer ink.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that is true. Inkjet printer ink is incredibly expensive, and there's no reason why exactly, from what I can tell.
Yes, it is. It is more expensive than say like I don't want to be gross, but like say like the a Kentucky Derby winners stud services.
Sure. Right.
Okay,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
which is wild.
Right.
Anyways, so the point is this stuff has a cost. But
Mhm.
I think that's an okay way to go. It will help like people find your game because I mean if you haven't already built up the marketing, we've talked before about how you market it, how you build up an audience. And like one of the ways to do that is just to make your game more easily available to them, right? Like
Mhm.
the money is a barrier of entry, period.
Right.
Right?
Now, on the other hand, some people also look at something free as something that doesn't have any worth.
That's right.
So there is that possibility as well, for sure. But and when you mentioned earlier about free or pay what you want, many of the different places where you can sell games digitally online will give you the option to do that. When we released the Oculus Spear, which was the add-on for Rain in Hell, which we didn't plan to do an add-on, but then we realized, it was the pandemic and we hadn't put solo or co-op rules into it, so we made an add-on for that, and we put it up on as PDF only on Wargame Vault and set it to be pay what you want. So you
Right.
could decide to download it for free, or you could like it's funny because if you look on the back end, if we look into to that particular title to see the range of what people paid, besides free, one person paid a literal cent and one person paid $20. Like neither of the, but whatever, like giving us a penny.
Thank you for the penny, whoever
I
did
guess,
that.
sure, yeah, and thank you for the $20. But that's again probably over, because the original game only cost 15 printed. Now that I come to think of it, but nonetheless, and itch.io and some of the others give you that also a possibility as well. So if you get somebody who's like, hey, this is cool and I like this concept, here's $2, that's better than just completely putting it up for free. But you can also do that as well if you're interested, or a person who's just like, well, I'll just download it for free. And then if I decide, oh, this is actually very cool, then I'll go back and download it again. And that time I'll pay $5 or whatever the deal might be. You have a lot of options that way in the electronic realm.
And I do think, especially for indie people, like, look, you put a lot of work into the thing. Like Adam and I don't give our rules away for free. Now we're not selling models. That's our only revenue, basically, that we pull off of this thing that keeps the company running. Like, so we can pay artists and editors and all of those things that we have to pay for, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, this would just be, it wouldn't even be a charity, because charity is actually, you're trying to at least, you get it. But I think we fund this little operation. This ain't exactly the March of Dimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like as Blade told us. We price it, but we try to be mindful of like the consumer and set reasonable prices that we think, are like worth it. It has value. It has, we've put a lot of work and effort into the game, into the art, into making the presentation good, into making it playable and fun and replayable. And so we try to charge what we think is like a very fair price, where we don't want to break anybody's bank. We're not making a premium, crazy, hardback, blah, 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 gilded gold cover book thing where you do all that crap. That's the Starbucksification, right? Where, so, like Starbucks famously did all this crap, like change the environment in their thing and their cups and everything in the music and the interior design. That's all there to justify them charging you $8 for a cup of coffee.
Right.
Okay. Something that previously cost 50 cents. Right. They reset your anchor pricing. We're not trying to do that. I'm happy. We're good. We're the cup of coffee originally from a good diner. And that's where we want to land.
I mean,
I think that's probably the right space for most indie people.
Oh, absolutely. GW or other, companies like that, and it's not just even within the wargaming space, but in the miniature space. Like I own some like very fancy schmancy, role-playing game books that are hardcover with like aqueous coating, spot, coating and foil this and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a $60 or $70 book. And I get it, but it doesn't change the information that's inside. It gives you this
same
tactile,
rules. Same game.
It gives you this tactile, like, oh, this is an object of desire. And it's the same thing, like you said, with Starbucks. Like going and getting a coffee at Starbucks it doesn't seem to anymore, but used to feel like a thing. Like, oh wow, okay, and that's why you paid the extra price or whatever. I generally didn't, but I would usually go to my regular coffee shop. But nonetheless, I did actually have to go to Starbucks. It was the first Starbucks I've been to in a while. I had to go to Starbucks when we were in the airport in Columbus there. So yeah, but there was no line, thank God. So, but the idea basically with indie stuff is it's generally a good idea to try to keep it as accessible as possible. Number one, because it's just a good idea. Number two, because it lends itself more to people going, well, if I had to pay $50 for this, I don't think I would, but I would definitely maybe pay $20 for it, and that kind of stuff. Like our most expensive game printed is $21, and that is Majestic 13, and it's 144 pages, soft cover color, black and white insides. And that's, like when you use a service like Wargame Vault, let's say, they have a calculator, like an online calculator, and you put in the size of the book and whether you want soft cover, hard cover, color inside, black and white inside, all that stuff. And it will give you a cost. Now, let's say that cost is, I don't know, let's say just for grins, whatever book we've decided it comes out and it's $10 cost. Now we could set the price at $10, but then we would make no profit, which is, something a person could do if they wanted to go down that road. You could also set the price to be $20 and you make $10 profit. You could also set the price to be $60 and then good luck and see what you get. That's kind of the balancing act. is that you have to determine, and we've been told multiple times we're not charging enough for our books. And if we were trying to make this like a company that we paid our mortgages with, then we would be wrong. We would definitely not be charging enough, and I get it. But when you're indie, you're probably doing something else. You're probably got a day job.
Right.
You probably got
Right.
other things going on. And if you're trying to convince somebody that your book, that's 100 pages softcover is worth $45, boy, there better be a lot of really good artwork in there. You know what I mean? Or there ought to be
something.
There really
Yeah.
ought to be something, because otherwise you're just trying to pull like big time company prices out of small time company, work. And that's something I think you have to pay attention to. I don't know that there's necessarily going to be, and this is a spoiler alert, I don't know that there's going to be an equation at the end of this podcast that says this is the price that you should set. I think we're more probably going to be telling you about the things you need to take into consideration and try to determine what you want to do as far as that's concerned. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to a point. I mean, I'll tell you, I do have a rule of thumb. I'll try
Okay.
it out later, but
Okay.
we'll see what people think. Look, ultimately, we're getting into like business basics and sort of econ 101 stuff here, right? But all business, there's 3 lines. They're stacked on top of each other. Okay, that's it. Everything else is nonsense. Here's it. This is it. This is all of business. All of business breaks down to this. Top line is perceived value. Okay, so that's how much people think they're going to get out of your product. Okay, the middle line is price. The bottom line is cost. Right? That's it. Those are the 3 lines. You can either lower the cost, which lets you then either make more margin or lower the price accordingly. Right? And by lowering the price, you increase the distance between price and perceived value, hence making it seem like a better deal. We all know that, right? We all know that feeling where you found some deal, something on special somewhere that you're like, wow, wait, this is how much this is, right? This is an awesome deal. Okay.
Exactly.
When you get that sense, that's where the price has been lowered and the distance between price and perceived value has gotten wide. Okay. That's what that is. That's a good deal. The other thing you can do is you can push the perceived value line way up, right? So if you don't have control of the cost, you can push the perceived value line way up. And then that lets you either like make the game more attractive because people are like, look at all this value I'm getting for a very reasonable price. Or you can move the price up and have people say, oh, well, that's still worth it. It's a little more expensive, but look at all this cool stuff I get, right? And you touched on like some of the ways you do that with an indie game. You might say, well, Vince, how does this apply to my game? Sure. You can, first of all, your cost, especially if you're using like we do, like a third-party printer, like a print-on-demand service, which by the way is very much, as we've talked about in previous episodes, what I would recommend.
Yeah.
Then your costs are pretty locked. You can control some of it. Like if you have a friend who's an artist and maybe the two of you are going to go in on this project together. Okay, that's a great way to control costs and push it down, right? Because then both of you are in here together. You're not, they're willing to join in with you on the sweat equity. That's fair, right? Or if you have a good editor friend or a good, you know what I mean? And so on and so forth, right? Like the more of your business, Adam and I, for example, don't have to pay anyone for layout. Why don't we pay for layout? Is it because we're ripping somebody off? No, it's because Adam is like a master of layout and all of these programs and has been doing this sort of thing for his life. So he has like incredible skill at making a very visually appealing book. Right?
I don't know about master, but I have been doing it a long time.
Adam puts so much more thought into this that you guys don't even realize what's happening. I can't, as someone who has these conversations, I would love to record some of your layout thoughts sometime and just share it with people so people can understand how much you think about the minutia of this and like the kerning and everything else that's happening.
Sure.
That like,
I mean, that's
stuff that would literally never occur to me.
That's the important stuff that happens in layout. And, if you want to have something like really good, like I look at layouts of some other games, like the Morkborg stuff, and I'm always amazed by it. But I know there's a line like, this is gorgeous and really cool. But I know I have friends that would be like, I can't read this. It's hard to read. And I'm like, well, yes,
Right.
and so there's always that line. But yeah, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in layout if you want to get nice layout. But to be fair, you can also really do, kind of normal layout, not that hard. But nonetheless, if you don't have any skill in that stuff, then that is a cost. So you have to take that into
Right.
consideration when you're coming up with what your price is going to be.
That's
Artwork.
right.
I would tell you to stay away from AI artwork. I know it seems like a good idea and it's free basically, but it's really not, and it's not a good idea. So don't do that.
Yeah, just say no to AI artwork.
Exactly. But there are other things you can do. Sometimes you can find somebody who's got artwork that's cool, and you can just license it. You know what I mean? I mean, our friend John did that with
Color cards.
the color card things. Is that he didn't pay those people to make the artwork; they had already made it, and he said, "Can I license it so that I'll pay you to use it?" And then that way, you're not having to go back and. I mean, God, it saves a bunch of time too to not be able to not have to go like, can you just change this little thing? It's done already. You're just either going to pay for it or you're not, and that's cool. That's hard to do in gaming, obviously, but sometimes it depends. So there's a lot of things you have to keep into consideration. Also, when you're an indie and you're first starting out, you don't need an illustration on every page. You don't need, like, we don't do an illustration on every page.
Right.
We like, I think the most we've ever done, I think one of our books had a cover and then maybe 22 pieces of artwork. Well, Majestic 13 was probably the one that had the most artwork in it, but that's because I did it all.
Because that was you
and
doing it all.
Yeah, but I wasn't drawing it.
Photographs
It
and
was
stuff.
all photo manipulation. So that's a different story. But yeah, I've seen plenty of. I mean, if you look at Space Weirdos, Space Weirdos has got a cover, and then on the inside there's like some pictures and miniatures, and that's about it. There's no illustrations on the inside, and that game's done quite well. It's a $5 game that's sold. It's got an adamantium badge, which is the top sales badge, at the Wargame Vault. So
Wargame Vault, yeah,
you can. Again, it's my motto in life is start small and grow slowly, and I think
that's right.
By starting small with a small game for cheap and putting it up there, that can really help you to potentially grow over time.
Exactly. So you just mentioned a couple of great tips that I really want to call. I want to hone in on them.
Mm-hmm.
When you're trying to push the cost line down, it means either you do more work yourself, so that's your sweat equity, okay, when you can do it. 2, you look at alternative options. You just mentioned one. Okay, you can't afford a lot of art, but like you can take some cool, you've got a decent camera, you can take, like most phones now are honestly pretty great cameras. You take some cool pictures of your miniatures in a neat setting, right? Like the way, like you set up some terrain, you set up your little miniatures on there, you take a cool like layout shot picture, boom, boom, right? Like that's a cool way to add some extra art to your book that is neat and didn't cost you really anything. Like it's your phone and your minis and your terrain and stuff like that, right? Or whatever. And it gives people a sense of playing the game. You mentioned licensing art. Absolutely. Look out there if there's artists that already have work. A lot of them are happy to license their art. They're effectively making more money off a thing they already did, right? And it's a great deal for them. No new work and you get paid. Okay, right? And they'll generally do it a lot cheaper than if you commission them from scratch. And that can be a good strategy. So all that pushes the cost line down. The other option is you increase the perceived value. I think this is worth honing in on, okay? Because the way you do this, like adding more art, by the way, is a way to do it, although it's a little Starbucksy, but it is a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The other way you can increase the perceived value is have the game have more applicability to more players. What I mean by this is like, is your game only a versus game? Can it also do solo and co-op? That's more perceived value, right?
Right.
If I can play it alone and partner with a friend and play against a friend, that's better value. I'm getting like 3 modes of play, 3 styles of game in one, right? If you have like a campaign system that allows people to have replayability, or you have other tricks and whatever elements that make it more replayable. So I'm not just buying this to like play for a week until I get bored, but no, it's going to hold my interest. Let me have different experiences. That's increasing perceived value, right? All of that stuff makes the game more attractive to a wider swath of people and helps you, like, quote unquote, I mean this in like the most charitable way, justify your price.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Because the value is real.
You're fighting an uphill battle as an indie to begin with, but if you can prove to people and show to people, look, you're going to get the ability to play solo when you've got no one to play with, or if you're teaching a friend, hey, let's do some co-op or something like that, and then the ability to also play versus, like the idea to make a game that's just one way, there's nothing wrong with that, but then your perceived value has to be a bit lower to some degree. Look at Snarl. So the last 2 Snarls and also this upcoming, we don't have any solo play and we don't have any co-op play. But it's also an $8 game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
this is part of the reason. The reason we don't have solo play and co-op play in that particular format is because it would just add more pages. And we're trying to keep, because we're hoping that at least if you're interested, you're printing it yourself. If we make this thing 70 pages, that's not a very good zine at 70 pages.
Right. It's gonna be hard to staple.
Exactly. It's going to be real hard to staple. So we have to always keep that into consideration as well. If you're not designing something to be printed in that way, if you're designing it to be printed normally and either stapled or spiral bound or or put into a 3-ring binder or whatever, or maybe just you figure people will just always leave it on their iPad or their laptop or whatever, then you don't have to keep that consideration. But Snarl for us is the hope is that it's going to be which is why we give it to you in 2 formats, both the 1 page at a time and the spreads thing, so you can print it more easily if you want to. But then we have to keep that into consideration. But then again, we're also charging $8. The PDF versus print thing. If you're doing something that's digital only, the benefit to that is that you don't have to worry about cost at that point, other than sunk time of you doing your work. If you're paying any artists, you're paying editors, things like that. But at the end of the day, once you've paid for all that stuff, there is literally no cost, which is a benefit. But you also have to take into consideration that there are people out there who are like, I only like to have something that's physical print.
Yeah, I like a book.
Yeah.
I like a book.
But one of the things that we've noticed that we do that a lot of people don't, and I think this is also a perceived, value thing. If you buy the book from us, you get the PDF for free. If you buy the PDF just alone, it has a cost because, again, there's artwork and there's all the work and the stuff that goes into it. But if you're buying the book, then there's that work plus also the cost of the printing of the book. And then if you want a digital copy, we're not going to ding you again. Some people do,
Right.
and that's fine. That's their choice. But the way we look at it, especially when using something like Wargame Vault, which gives us the ability to do this, if you pay $21 for the print version of Majestic 13, you're good. If you want the PDF for free, it's for free. We're not going to, you can, with that system, put it on there as like, well, if you want that, it's going to cost what a normal PDF would cost, or you can even discount it. But we're just like, no, if you buy the book, then the PDF is included. And that's another thing that you can choose to help with your perceived value and all that kind of stuff from the customers.
100%. 100% agree.
Mhm.
And I think that there's also when you've got if it's your indie game and you've got more stuff going on in the game, that also opens the door to what I would call the free intro version. Okay. So okay, the game has all of these fun bells and whistles for perceived value. Well, that means there's some core of the game that you could theoretically do a free intro version of, right? If you want to understand the basic game, I've put out this PDF and then you can get the free intro version of the game here so you can learn how to play it for free and see if you like it. And if you want, you come back and you pay for the whole experience, right? Now, that is a cool thing to do, but it's also not free to your time, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Because you have to then still effectively you're almost making 2 games.
Right.
You have to make sure that whatever your free intro version is one, cohesive, does it hang together and actually work as a game?
Mhm.
That's pretty important. And 2, have you put in the right stuff in that intro version that's actually going to get somebody's interest, right? If you scale it down and skinny it out so much that it's just your one guy walks forward, swing sword, attack. Other guy walks forward, swing sword, attack. Continue swinging sword until one person is dead. If that's the free game, it's okay, well, I don't even want to know what the rest of the game is. I'm bored.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a fine line there. I mean, the folks at One Page Rules have, I think, a relatively good way to do it because they do actually have the free version of, let's say, Grimdark Future, and it is 1 page. Now, what it means is both sides of a single page, but
Sure.
It is 1 page, and you can play it and it's fine. But you do need to understand that there's an even better game if you spend $4.99 or whatever it is that then has all this other stuff and everything like that. Or if you follow them on, if you do Patreon, then you get access to that stuff too. And that's a big benefit as well. That's the thing as it's interesting too, is that you could also go down the road of I give away the game for
100%.
free, but if you do the Patreon, then you get access to the not free version, and that kind of thing,
Yep.
which again is a perception situation of going, well, I'm not paying for it. I'm just supporting them. And then I'm getting access to this and it updates. Like it goes down the road of kind of like, like subscription software stuff, which I'm generally not a fan of. But there is a benefit to subscription software is that they do have a tendency to keep it updated pretty frequently. Like back in the day, like when you 18 months after Photoshop 12 came out and Photoshop 13 came out, it added new stuff, but you had to wait 18 months for that to roll around again. Now you pay for Photoshop pretty much every month, but you get new things tacked on constantly to make it so that you keep feeling like you're not getting robbed, which you are a little bit, but you're riding that line depending on, well, I guess, what you're using the software for.
I used to work at CompUSA, long ago, and the big versions of Photoshop were always the funniest thing we had on the shelves because we had to put them in these like massive, super thick, alarmed clamshells because they were like $1,000 software packages or whatever.
Oh yeah,
so they were in like this bulletproof, massive case on the shelf. It was always the funniest thing to stock. Anyways, no, I agree. And I do think there's a material difference here between like a company doing Garbo subscription software and a creator selling you a game as part of like where you get all the content for free as part of their Patreon. And to me, the difference is one, I'm not supporting some nameless, faceless, massive company that's clearly just extracting rents. I'm supporting a creator who's like trying to bring their life's work to fruition. And that feels a bit more noble to me, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Two, it solves the collective action problem to some degree, right? Because the reason we have a Discord, why do we have a Discord? For Snarling Badger, so that people who are enthusiasts of our games can find each other, share their hobby, inspire each other, talk about the game, right? It forms a community and like that has real value.
Yeah.
Now, in our case, like our Discord for Snarling Badger isn't tied to
like a Patreon or anything
like a
that.
Patreon or anything. You can just join it. If you're interested, just visit snarlingbadgerstudios.com and you'll see a little Discord link. Just click that and you can come on in. We'd love to have you.
Technically just snarlingbadger.com.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, snarlingbadger.com.
Yeah.
Apologize.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out. Just type Snarling Badger into Google or something and
you'll probably find it
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a little Discord icon. But yes, like I think that solves like the community problem. And I think that actually does matter a lot, right? Like because ultimately what you're trying to do, especially when you're indie, is get enough people interested in playing the game that they form a community around the game and that reinforces them to keep playing and be interested and tell other friends about it. Right?
Yeah, I agree. You said you had a formula.
I
earlier.
did.
Yeah.
You ready? I'm going to give you the formula.
I've got my pen.
I'm glad we came back to this. Okay. Here's the simple formula. Your game should try to cost less, $20 or less.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't know if they call that a formula, but it's good though. I don't disagree. Like when we produced Majestic 13, our biggest game at the time, 144 pages. We said it for $19, and I was super happy to have a game that was still under $20. You're going to get change back from a 20. And then the tariffs came, and then the prices had to go up. And then back in April of this year, 2025, we had to beef up all the things. Like most of the games went up about $2, except for I think Rain in Hell, which went up only $1 because it was only 64 pages. And then it went from $19 to $21, and it made me sad, and it still makes me sad, and I'm bummed about it.
It does. It's a real thorn in our paw that game
really
has to be
is
$1 over $20. Yes.
Yeah. But you're not wrong. Like if you're, now here's the deal. If you are making a 16-page zine, then I don't know that should be $20. But
no, I'm saying under. That's like the ceiling. Just look at that as a ceiling. Figure out where your cost is, and then it should be under $20, like $20 or less.
Yeah,
that's it.
I agree. And we will have people who will tell us we are wrong and that our faces are stupid and we are stupid. And that's fine. I'm okay with it. But the fact is that that's kind of the adage that we go by. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, if you are trying to make this your day job so that you can eat, well, that was a bad decision. You shouldn't have done that to begin with, probably. And maybe your ideas may change on that. But yeah, I think that in the indie game space, it's very difficult to try to ask like big company costs, big company prices when you don't have a staff of 20 artists or you don't have, like 7 different writers who work on this
an HR department.
Exactly right. Yeah. Because at that point, you're right. When it comes down to like because people can smell it. People can look at it and go, I can tell that this is made by a very small group. And when it is not very small group prices, then that triggers people's I'm paying too much maybe alarm. And
Yeah, an
that's the
alarm
thing
bell
that
goes off. Yeah.
exactly. You have to watch out for that. So I don't know.
I don't know
think
why $20 is the magic number, but I really do think it is. It's like, I think because when I look at buying something, if I look at something and I'm like, oh, I really want this thing, and it's like $12, I'm like, okay, I don't have to
yeah,
think about that too deeply,
sure.
right? Like, it's not that I'm not, I'm certainly not that well off or anything, but $12 is fine. If it's like roughly what I'd go spend for lunch if I went out to eat for lunch,
Hmm.
which I
Hmm.
never do, but if I did, you
Sure.
know, then I'm like, okay, I can like not buy a lunch one day and buy this game instead. And that seems like a perfectly good trade.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
somewhere under $20 is where that number is. That's my point. Right. Like most people can kind of do that without breaking the bank.
Do you think it's
Right.
because as a country or as a society for years and years and years, the cheapest or the littlest amount of money you could get out of most ATMs was $20, and then that's just become like
Like
it's
a
a threshold.
threshold.
It's a mental threshold to people. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that could be. I'm not sure what it is, but like I know for me, when I look at a product and it's the difference between a product less than $20 and more than $20, I'm like, nope. If it's more, I'm like, I'm gonna think about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Oh
just
yeah.
something happens.
Like if I
So
pick up a pretty meaty, 120 pages or thicker, soft cover, and I'm at a convention and it says it's $30 or $35. It better be color on the inside, and there better be a decent amount of artwork, like a decent
sure.
amount, because otherwise I'm gonna be like, I don't think so. But if it's not, then if it's like, black and white and everything like that, but it's a $20, yeah. I mean, it's if it's something you're interested in, that's an easier sell mentally in your head than it is to go with a bigger number. When I look at a lot of books these days that are hardcover with the spot aqueous coating, yet I still don't care, that it's going to be that
Right.
much unless it's something that really, really, really speaks to me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So like I just think there like that's kind of the world. And what you have to ultimately find when you're thinking about finding the right price is just keep your costs in mind, find the price that's kind of hopefully under that ceiling that makes it so you can keep doing this, right? That you can pay the people you need to pay to get the thing out and build an audience. I think in general, your goal is like, it's just, and I'll be very frank. This is how Adam and I, operate our business. We're like, what's the least amount of money we can make and sort of, sustain this like per book, right? Where we feel like our time has been somewhat compensated and we can keep paying everyone,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Again, that's kind of how we look at it. Because over time, if you're successful, if you do build up an audience, if you do that stuff, then and your game has a following, then you can afford to invest in the bigger books, the cooler stuff, more like that, and then your price can move up accordingly, right? And that's fine because people will be like, "Yes, I love this game. I'm invested in you. I'm invested in the world you built, and I'm happy to pay you, the money for this thing, right?" But when you're first trying to get them in the door, you say a lot by saying very little in what you said is your price. That's
Yeah.
sort of my summary.
No, I agree. I agree. I think there's a lot to think about for people. I think when you're first starting out and you're doing those first couple of games, doing a pay what you will kind of thing is not a bad idea at all. If you're going to
Right.
decide, well, it's going to be printed though, well, then that's another story. But still, you have to kind of think that through. And also sometimes even just bounce the ideas off of your friends who not just anyone, but friends who play the games, people who are also miniatures players. You say, do you think this is worth $15? Do you think, and hopefully if they, are truthful and aren't just trying to mess with you or trying to blow, smoke up your dress or whatever, they're gonna, help you out and help you figure out what the price should be.
No, man, this game's awesome. You should charge $87. It's like,
Right.
okay,
Don't
buddy.
don't take
Yeah.
that friend's advice. Well, thank you for checking out this episode of the SNARLcast. We hope we were able to teach you something. If you've got suggestions for future topics, hit us up in the comments if you want to, like on YouTube, let's say, or you can also check out our website at snarlingbadger.com/snarlcast for more information. There's also an email thing on the Snarling Badger website. So if you've got some ideas or just want to talk or whatever, you can do that there as well. And you can also follow us on your favorite podcast software of choice. We're on pretty much most of them. And you can leave a review if you get the chance. That would be helpful. I appreciate that as well. And we appreciate your time.
Join the Discord.